What's up YouTube, Jeff back from SamyGuru.com, and today another very exciting Samsung video for you guys. Today I have the brand new Galaxy Z Flip 7. I'm going to show you guys the first things you should do to set up your device and make sure you get the most out of it. Now I'm also going to have some further, more advanced tutorials down the road about Good Lock and some of the features of One UI 8, but this is going to be mainly about the things you should do right when you get out of the box to get that performance going and make sure you take full advantage of this amazing phone. Before we get started, I do want to remind you guys, make sure you check out our website, SamyGuru.com. Have the latest Samsung news, tips, tricks, tutorials, and reviews. If you guys bookmark the site, come back. We have all that stuff daily. So if you love to follow and stay up to date with all the updates and every new hardware coming out, software updates as well. Also, if you haven't ordered a Z Fold 7, Z Flip 7 Watch 8 device, and you're going to, or if you're going to order the Galaxy S26 Ultra next January, sign up for our mystery box program. You get a free case cleaning kit, desktop phone stand, screen protector, other randomly inserted goodies. All you have to do is purchase a device from one of our affiliate links here. That's how we fund the program. We also cover all the shipping costs to get it to you. Purchase with our link here and then go over to our verification page, which is in the side menu. Fill out our verification form, which is right there. Just ask for your address. It's also going to ask for the devices that you ordered, just so we can make sure we ship you the right cases, screen protectors, etc. Check that out below if you're interested. We love giving back to the community. Also helps us fund the website and the YouTube channel so we can make more great Samsung content for you guys. All right, so as usual, I have a little Google Keep document here that keeps me on track just so I can tell you guys the first things to do here. There might be more than 10 things. I don't know. I made a list. Usually I call it first 10 things, but heck, there's probably a few more. The first thing is security settings and redundancy for your fingerprint. Now, you probably set up your fingerprint or your other biometrics when you first set up your device, going through the setup steps when you take it out of the box, of course. But one thing that you may want to do and one thing you may not know is that when you set up your fingerprint, one thing you can do to ensure accuracy and make sure that it opens as fast as possible is you can actually enroll the same fingerprint multiple times. So you can see I have two fingerprints enrolled. I actually have this thumb and this index finger because I usually reach from this side to unlock the device when I'm using my left hand. However, if you want to get a more accurate reading and make it sure it unlocks more often the first time you do it, you can enroll the same fingerprints again. So I can go in here, I can enroll my thumb again, and then enroll this index finger again, and that'll actually give you a better reading, better measurements. Of course, you can also set up things like your face unlock, etc. inside of here, but the redundant fingerprint enrollment is a little trick that a lot of people don't know about that does help you get a more accurate reading when you utilize that side-mounted fingerprint scan. Up next, let's talk about navigation settings and circle to search. You'll want to make sure you set up your preferred navigation settings, whether you like to use the 3-button navigation or if you like to use the buttons. Of course, the buttons are the default, so you don't have to worry about really changing anything if you want to use the 3-button nav. But if you do want gestures like I have, you can go in here, turn from buttons to swipe gestures. Under more options, you can also tune the gesture sensitivity. I tend to leave it at the default just because I've gotten used to the default in One UI. And you can turn it up or down to your preferences and kind of see how it reacts. But that second notch, which is the default, is where I usually leave it. Make sure your circle to search is enabled. Of course, that is also on by default in most regions. If you long press on the gesture bar down here at the bottom, you can now circle anything on the screen and it will go ahead and search it with Google. This has been a feature since the Galaxy S24 series. It's very, very useful. And it's something that you probably want to have enabled to get the most out of your device. Up next, you want to set up the cover screen. Obviously, right? The cover screen is what the Galaxy Z Flip 7 is all about. You can actually do that while the phone is unfolded on the main display, which makes it a little bit easier. Scroll in the settings right down below lock screen and AOD to cover screen. Here you can set up your cover screen style. You can select your design. And one of the ones that I really enjoy is the brand new emoji design. You guys saw that I actually had emoji set up. There is a limited selection of emojis. I went with the donuts and the stars, but you can set up a wide variety of different things here. You can also tune the color. You can have ghosts, right? You got your ghost there, and then you can choose the main emoji to whatever you want, whatever you like. You can do whatever you want for your main emoji. And then here you can choose the color once it sets the two emojis, and that will allow you to get your overall look. Now the colors, you've got also kind of a limited selection. I kind of wish there was a little more robust sort of preset colors, but you do have the spectrum, so you can just go through in here and set whatever color you like, and then that can be set for your cover screen. This does look very nice. The widgets can also be configured directly from in here. I'll talk more about how to use any app on the cover screen in just a moment, but you can configure your widgets from in here. You've got Now Brief, Apps, Battery, Calculator. This will need to be enabled, which we'll show in just a second in Labs. Calendar, Clock, Contacts, Device Care, Multi-star, I'll show you where to get that in a second. That it lets you enable even more applications that you can open directly on that cover screen. So you can choose which widgets you want, thumb through it. Like I said, I'll show you guys how to get these games and the additional app widgets in just a second. I typically have a music widget as well, which is Spotify, that I have right there. Cover screen timeout, you can set it to wherever you want. I set it to 30 seconds because I make video content and I don't want it to time out while I'm making video. So that's one of the main reasons that I have it set up probably a little differently than most people. Notifications, choose if you want to show notifications and notification pop-ups. You can also choose the quick responses that you want to have here for various messages. You can enter your own custom quick responses. You can go in here and edit. You can move them up or down, depending on how often you use these various quick responses. Maybe you just need me to grab dinner, something I text to my wife very often. You can add that to your quick responses. So that can be done right here from the cover screen menu as well. You go back into the cover screen here for show notifications. That just is where we were in the notification settings. We go back one more, we can go in the cover screen again. That's pretty much everything in here, but if you go to the very bottom, you'll see here that for the main screen navigation on cover screen, that's a Labs feature. We'll look at that in a second, but let's talk about Samsung Wallet access, because I believe that's the next two things that I have here. The first thing is if you go into Labs, you can find the Labs menu from main settings, but it's also right there. Use main screen navigation on the cover screen allows you to basically use your regular gestures on the cover display. And apps allowed on the cover screen lets you place that app widget that we looked at earlier. However, this will not let you get all of your applications on the cover screen. In order to do that, you need to install the multi-star GoodLock module, which is actually linked right here. It'll take you to the Galaxy Store where you can download it, and that will now let you install this launcher widget for GoodLock, which will let you put any applications you want. You see I have 16 different applications here. If you go into the Manage, this will take you over to Multi-Star where you can actually see the application itself. If you download the GoodLock module as well, which I highly recommend, you can enable this from the cover widget section of Multi-Star. This will let you go to the launcher widget and choose whichever apps you want. You can also add a Game Snacks widget, which will let you play some very basic games on your cover screen, just like you can with Android Auto. So let me actually show this really quickly on the cover screen. Turn that on and make sure the brightness is up a little bit just so you guys can view it. Make sure I have the auto brightness off. It's usually a good idea whenever you're doing video just to keep it off because it makes it a little more, makes it a little more equal across all the video content when my hands are coming in and out. Anyway, this is what my cover screen looks like with the emojis. You can see here, if I want to go over to the widgets, I have to swipe, put in my fingerprint. Here's my launcher widget from Multi-Star, which will let me go in there and see my 16 applications. If you hit plus there, it's going to let you open that and then you'll be able to add more. My Spotify widget, and then this is the Game Snacks widget, which again, you can open and play these games right here. And like I said, you'll be able to use all of your navigation gestures, everything that you use in regular One UI on the cover screen, as long as you have that Labs option enabled. You've also got your Now bar down here. You can see all of your various Now bar settings, including Do Not Disturb, the Now Breathe, and your Google Sports Scores, which you can expand on the lock screen, the cover screen, and it does look pretty nice, as well as your camera shortcut, which looks nicely right there on the cover screen as well. You can also edit your widgets from directly on the cover screen if you don't want to do it on the main display. Let's go into the Samsung Wallet Quick Access. So if you go back in there, if you guys saw when we were taking a look at the cover screen options, right at the bottom you see Samsung Wallet Quick Access. This will let you determine where you want the quick access. This is the little line that you see down here to appear. And you can choose if you want this on the cover screen or not with the home screen or the screen off. And you can also turn the handle transparency down, which you can also do for how it looks down here, the cover screen and the main screen, and determine if you want that handle to be shown. So this will tell you, how transparent it is, or if it looks very obvious there when it's at the bottom of the screen. Whenever you're doing your navigation, it'll determine if it's low or high. If you turn it on high, it'll be very hard to see it. That's typically what I like to do, is turn the transparency up so it's very difficult to see. This will allow you to access your Samsung Wallet on the main screen as well as the cover screen just by swiping up. Flex mode panel settings. So if we go into the settings down here and go to advanced features, the flex mode panel right here basically allows you to keep apps open on the top screen and get additional controls on the bottom with your flip, basically utilizing the foldable screen in a special way. You can go here to turn on all supported apps to utilize this when the flex mode is open. I like to do that. Of course, the most useful apps for this are like camera, video call apps because you can have your toggles down here and you can have this flipped up, makes it like basically a tripod to use while you're doing a video call. Scroll wheel position for when you're using the controls, off, left, or right. I particularly like left. Touchpad gesture help, going to give you how you're going to use the bottom screen when it is using the flex mode panel. So definitely decide which apps you want to use. I recommend just turning them all on and then, deciding which ones you don't want to use. But the ones that are the most useful are the ones that say provides custom layout. So at least turn those on. I personally find things like Instagram, the camera app, Samsung Internet, Facebook Messenger, Google Meet, all of those can be very useful and things that I would definitely recommend that you turn on the flex mode panel for. This is a small thing, but I recommend, because it makes it easier to find your apps, to go into the app drawer, turn this from sort custom, which is the default, to alphabetical, which also then gives you this vertical app drawer. I personally think the vertical app drawer is a little bit easier to manage than the app drawer that you get when you have the custom order. The custom order, I'll show you really quickly. It's basically the horizontal scrolling. It also sorts the apps by most recently installed, which I find it kind of hard to find my applications because I don't remember, I don't know about you, but I don't remember which app I most recently installed. I'd rather have it in alphabetical order for easily finding what I'm looking for at any given time. Display settings and Super HDR. So if you go into your display settings, there's a couple of key things in here you want to check. I would turn extra brightness on so that if you turn off the adaptive brightness, which I've done, you get a brightness boost, especially outdoors. Motion smoothness on adaptive. I keep it there most of the time unless I need to save battery. Eye comfort shield, you can set up a nice little schedule for this if you want, and this will turn it on, from sunrise to sunset, something like that. If you're reading at night with your phone, it's not a bad idea to turn that on just to get that blue light filter. Down here, you can turn if you want vivid, which is really poppy colors, or natural. You can turn that down. Screen timeout, you should probably keep it at 30 seconds, but again, because I make video content and I don't want the phone turning off while I'm making a video, if I'm talking, I turn that up a little bit. The navigation bar, again, we went through that. Edge panels, you do still have your panels here, but if you want all of them, you have to turn them all on because it's only the apps panel by default now. So if you want to utilize all these various panels, which do exist, you actually need to go through and turn these on. You also need to allow some various permissions to get all of your panels. But the edge panels are still there. Samsung did remove a few options, like the third-party options that we had previously, but you can get all of the default ones there if you're interested. Accidental touch protection, if it's in your pocket, definitely recommend turning that on. Touch sensitivity, don't really need that unless you have a screen protector, particularly on the main screen. You're probably not going to need that ever unless you've replaced the film on the inside of your Galaxy Z Flip 7. So that's everything in the display settings. The other thing I wanted to mention was Super HDR, which is down here in the advanced features. If you scroll down, make sure you turn your video brightness to bright so you can keep those HDR videos, get all that bright video when you're watching it on your phone, and Super HDR to automatically adjust and display to show all those poppy colors taken with your Galaxy smartphone camera. Now, one awesome new feature in One UI 8 is the new lock screen clock that basically moves around and adapts to what you have on there. You need a wallpaper that has a person or an animal to try this, but I definitely recommend trying this because it's really cool. So let me grab one that has an animal. I'm going to get this one from Thematica, which is one of my favorite wallpaper apps. My buddy Vuk Andrik, he actually is the creator and developer of this application. So if you have one that has a main subject that's a person or an animal, what you can do to get the adaptive clock is go to your lock screen editor. So you're going to long press on your lock screen, go ahead and unlock it, go up to wallpapers, go to gallery. I'm going to select this giraffe wallpaper that I just chose. And now when you go to your clock, you're going to wait for it to load, tap on this clock. And then the second option here, you see how it's animating, that's the adaptive clock. So if you choose that and then you start dragging it, you notice that it kind of adapts to the ears of the giraffe, which is really, really cool. And you got to get it in the right spot. I mean, you have to get it in the right spot to make it look awesome. But here you can see how it's adapting just in between the giraffe's ears. Very, very cool. And if you have the always on display on, it's even got another trick. Let me see if I can show you guys here. Just go into, if you turn your always on display to always, so we're going to turn always on the always on display. And then you can also do erase background now on the Z Flip 7, which is another awesome feature. It'll erase the background, and then when you double tap it to turn it on, look how it expands the clock. It zooms out and stretches, and then it zooms the clock down pulls it down so that it's right above the giraffe's ears with that animating adaptive clock. So you can get some really cool looking effects with this, and having the always on display with this erased background looks really cool as well, with these wallpapers that have a subject that's separated from everything else. So because it's a new One UI 8 feature, definitely recommend giving it a try. Now Brief, I highly recommend you set up both the Now Brief and Galaxy AI. Inside Galaxy AI, you need to go through and make sure you turn on all of these features and make sure you set them up to the way that you want to use them. Like for Live Translate, if you want to mute your voice or the other person's voice. Writing Assistant, some of these features need to be turned on. Some of them are on by default. Tap to talk when you're using Interpreter, if you're going to another place where you need to speak another language. Note Assist needs to be turned on manually. Transcript Assist, auto transcribe your voice recordings if you want that. Browsing Assist with Galaxy Browser, you need to use the Samsung browser, not Chrome. Photo Assist to get your automatic fill, various photo effects. Drawing Assistant, you can still use that even though we don't have an S Pen. You can draw with your fingers to get AI generated drawings. Audio Eraser will appear automatically. Now Brief, you want to go in here and turn on which content you want. Some of these are not chosen by default, so I would recommend turning all of them on and just kind of seeing what you like in the beginning. You can also expand Now Brief without unlocking. Only do that if you're not worried about security of people accessing your Now Brief. Now, once you go into the Now Brief widget, you can now have the Now Brief read aloud to you in One UI 8. So definitely try this out. Obviously, I have it on Do Not Disturb, and I don't have the volume down.
Alert until free 9 p.m. MST.
This guy right here, this guy's getting put on blast here for this Coldplay concert. He's even in the Now Brief today. Anyway, definitely try out this feature. Having your Now Brief read aloud to you lets you save some time if you don't want to read it manually. It's a nice touch that Samsung added with One UI 8. For motions and gestures and side button, this is also in advanced features. So if you go to advanced features, go to the side button, you can customize what happens when you double press. I personally like the default, which is the camera, but some people like to turn on the flashlight or the magnifier or the voice recorder. Whatever you want to do, you can do all of those things from in there. You can also determine what the long press does. Either set up your digital assistant, you can use Gemini, which is the default, or switch to another assistant like ChatGPT. You can also set it to Bixby if you're a Samsung loyalist, or if you want something more simple and you don't care about using AI Assistant, you can set it so that when you long press on the power button, it simply gives you the power off menu, which is probably what a lot of people like. I personally use Gemini a decent amount for the research I do for the website, so I kind of keep it set there because it's useful for me, but you can choose what works the best for you. The other thing is motions and gestures. Go in here and determine what you want. I do not like lift to wake. Never have liked it, even on the Motorola phones when they had it. Double tap to turn on and off. I always use that. Alert when phone is picked up and you have a missed call or message. It vibrates a little bit. Mute with gestures by putting your hand over the screen. Palm swipe to capture. This allows you to capture a screenshot by going left to right. It's kind of hard to do behind the camera, but it does work. I did it in my Z Fold 7, first things to do video. Just a little tricky behind the camera, but it's a lot more useful in my opinion on a tablet or a bigger phone like the Z Fold 7. But I still leave it on because it's something that I've been used to using on Galaxy phones for years. Change app grid size and add new widgets. So if you long press and go to the home screen settings, you probably want to think about what grid size you want for your home screen. I have the larger size, which is the 5x6. I like this on the Fold 7, on the Flip 7, because it's a smaller, more narrow device, so I get more information density. But keep in mind, it does mess up some of the widget aspect ratio with One UI 7, so that can be an annoying thing. So you might want to stick to the 4x6 if you care about that. The app screen grid, you can also go 5 columns, gives you a little more density with your apps. I usually always do that as well. And also in the home screen settings, you can make sure that when you swipe down, you'll be able to get notification panel. And rotate to landscape mode will allow you to rotate to landscape mode even on the home screen. If you have auto rotate on, this will now rotate into landscape. And Samsung did optimize One UI 7 and One UI 8 for landscape mode, even on phones that have an aspect ratio like the S25 Ultra or the Z Flip 7. So you don't need a Fold 7, Fold 6 to take advantage of this. You still get a really nice layout. So I definitely recommend turning that on within the home screen settings as well. The last thing is battery protection. This will extend the life of your battery. So if you go into battery here, you can turn battery protection on. Adaptive protection will stop charging at 80% while you're asleep and finish charging to 100% just before you wake up. Just be careful because this will sometimes have some issues in the beginning until it learns exactly when you wake up and go to sleep. And also if you have a very irregular sleep schedule, which I do sometimes during launch season, I'm making a lot of content. I also have young kids. So you may want to not have this on unless you're sure that you're going to be on a regular schedule, because otherwise it won't necessarily always leave you at 100%. But it will extend the life of your battery. You can also turn on maximum, and with maximum, this will charge stop at the level you set, and the lower the level, you can extend your battery's lifespan. But of course, if you set it too low, it's not useful because then you won't have enough battery to get through the entire day. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully this helps you get the most out of your new Galaxy Z Flip 7. Went through everything, main screen and cover screen. Hopefully gave you guys some ideas on what's new with One UI 8, what's new with the Flip, how to run, apps on the cover screen, play games on the cover screen, use flex mode, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys checking out the video. Please subscribe for more. Check out SammyGuru.com, especially if you're buying an upcoming Samsung device. Get on the Mystery Box program. Appreciate you guys checking it out. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.